This segment of Delmarva Life is brought to you by Sat7.
You check the news, you can't miss it. The stories of despair from the Middle East. Christians persecuted for their religion, forced to convert to Islam, driven out of their homes, their possessions taken, lives at risk. But there's one group that's working to provide hope for these families. Joining us today via Skype to tell us more about it is Dr. Rex Rogers, who is president of Sat7. Dr. Rogers, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you, sir.
Now, your network television, your satellite system, you actually broadcast into the Middle East. You've got studios there, you've got facilities there. What are your people telling you about the conditions in war-torn areas like Iraq?
Well, we've got people in the Middle East who are telling us this is the worst they've seen in 40 years of their life experience there as adults, and it's gone well beyond being a humanitarian crisis to what we'd consider a moral crisis. We believe the world certainly needs to be involved. We don't know what form that involvement takes or should take, but we need to be aware and paying attention because people are suffering, and it's not just Christians, it's all minorities, any group.
You know, I guess here in the U.S., we take a lot of our freedoms for granted, and that includes the freedom of religion. That's not necessarily the case there in places like Syria and Iraq and Iran. How are they dealing there with the persecution?
Well, some, of course, they're trying to survive. Secondly, if they can, some are fleeing. Some are going to other countries. They have a place to go. This, of course, creates a humanitarian crisis on the other end. In places like Lebanon, where you've got the UN tells us at least 1 million refugees, most of them women and children, in a country of 4 million people. And if you want to just do the demographic or population, mathematics, think about the ratio of 1 to 4 here in our country if we had that many refugees here.
Doctor, you mentioned the women and the children. What are their fates in all of this?
Well, when the men fight, the women and children suffer more, if anything, because they're left behind. They don't have protectors. They don't have the ability, the power, sometimes the access to food, to clothing, to shelter. They're abused because, again, they can't defend themselves in varieties of horrible ways in terms of abuse, and even killed, as we've seen on recent reports.
Okay, so Dr. Sat7 is known as a safe harbor for those in Northern Africa and the Middle East wanting to know more about Christianity. What does that mean?
Well, obviously, as a satellite television network, we can't protect them physically, but at least we can connect with their minds, their hearts. We can give them information. We can give them outside information that they trust. We can give them perspective. And it's like the days of pre-World War II Europe, when getting any kind of information outside kind of almost restored your sense of humanity, your sense of yourself. So that's one part. The other part is, of course, spiritually, we are a Christian satellite television network. We speak to them of hope in Christ and Christianity, that there is a God who loves them. There are people who are aware. There are people who are praying, and it's despite it seems it's still in charge.
Dr. Rex Rogers, president of Sat7, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Now, we're going to learn more about Sat7 and its connection here on Delmarva. Lisa has more on that. Lisa?
Well, Jimmy, Sat7 is working right here on Delmarva to help those Dr. Rogers just spoke of, people who are persecuted for their beliefs. Joining us today to tell us more about what's being done and how you can help is Ruth Thomas, Vice President with Sat7 in Easton. Ruth, thanks for joining us this afternoon. Okay. So I have to ask you, how does Sat7 here on Delmarva help Christians gain hope 1,000 miles, many thousands of miles away in the Middle East?
Well, there's several ways. The U.S. is the headquarters. Easton is our headquarters. So we are a Maryland registered charity, and donations flow through our office and then go out to the Middle East. But what we're all about is being able to reach people where missionaries can't go. We can go where rulers and regimes cannot stop, because satellite TV is free to air in the Middle East. So
there's nothing to stop.
There's nothing to stop us, and we can get in every home that has a satellite dish, and we'll see later there's millions.
Yeah. Now, Dr. Rogers spoke of the plight of children. What is Sat7 doing to help them?
Well, children are the most vulnerable, and we have seen the need, and we have created a 24/7 channel just for kids in Arabic, and it's the only dedicated channel for kids in the Middle East, so a Christian channel. So Sat7 Kids is on air with cartoons, with live shows where kids call in and sing, animation, all kinds of great programming. And the website is fantastic. The website gives them a place where they can go and they can interact and just talk to the people that are the presenters,
Right.
which is kind of a cool thing.
Right. And Sat7 is actually, it's not just one channel, it's several.
Six channels across 2 satellite networks.
So let's talk about the millions who watch your shows each week.
Well, we know we have a known audience of over 15 million, and that's a daily audience. And there are pockets that are larger, probably Egypt, Iraq, Lebanon, but the satellite map shows in the blue, that's a European satellite, that's Hotbird. So we can reach all of Europe, even though we're target is the Middle East. And then, so we have three channels on Hotbird. And then Nilesat is a network that's based out of Egypt. So it's more of a North Africa and the Middle East based satellite, but it's the most popular of the region. So we need to be on both.
You need support. How can we help?
Well, we need financial support. This is a critical time, and we need to ramp up programming for those refugees and make sure that they're getting the hope that they need. You can send support through delmarvagives.org. There's a link on your website as well.
All right, Ruth, and it's important to know you're a nonprofit, and if you would like to learn more or read about Sat7, you can go to our website, wboc.com, and click on our picture at the top of the page. Well, still ahead on Delmarva Life, are you the type to give blood? Not sure what to expect? Sean Stryker will be taking us along with him as he donates blood and tell us how we can become a donor as well. And Sean's a busy guy today. A little later, he'll be joining us from Layton's Chance Vineyard and Winery with how this year's crop is holding up. He'll also have the details on a pretty big event coming to the area.